Good, good afternoon. If you are calling in from a different time zone from than where I am, we are thrilled you guys are here today. You're in the right place at the right time, and we are excited to be able to provide some really great content and connections today. If you haven't yet, we would love for you to go ahead and drop in the chat where you're calling us from, and anything about the type of work or the industry that you're looking to work in. And so your chat icon is on the bottom of your screen. If you're calling in from a desktop or a laptop, bottom of your screen, click chat, drop the information in the chat. We're going to be using the chat a lot today to engage with our speakers, to engage with coaches that have called in, and to just engage with each other. So go ahead and drop in where you're joining us from and what industry you are interested in working in. My name is Jessica Pierce, and I am the CEO and founder of Career Connectors. Our amazing team and team of volunteers is here today and has made it possible for us all to be together. So what I would like to do to get started, now that you guys are getting used to the chat, Regina, hello, calling in from New York. Robbie, thank you, from Phoenix. We have Miami on the line. Hey, Hugh, I'm in Chandler, Arizona also. It's good to see you. Thanks for being here. We have another New Yorker, Queen Creek. Good morning, Michelle. Hi, Melissa. Thank you, guys. This is perfect. So we know that there has been a change in our economy and that many people are dealing with layoffs. We've seen an uptick in layoffs. And so just so we can get a little bit of a pulse on what's going on and who we have on the call, if you have been affected by a layoff in the last, 6 to 12 months, in the last year, could you just drop a 1 in the chat? So thank you. We do not save the chats. There's no information that will go out from the chat. So if you've been affected by a layoff, just drop a 1 in the chat so we can kind of get a pulse on who's in our call today. All right. Yes. Thank you. So many of us have been affected by layoffs over the years. And I can tell you personally, I was laid off from Intel years ago. And at that point, there was 10,000 people that were laid off. We were in the midst of the Great Recession, or the Great Recession was actually just getting ready to start. And it was really, really a difficult time. And I just want to say that it changed my life in the best way possible. And as much as I loved my organization and I loved what I was doing for a living, at the time I was doing organizational development work and traveling around the world. Loved it. Looking back, took me a couple years, but looking back, it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me and my family. And I get to lead this amazing organization because that was a launching pad for me. So I'm telling you, if you're feeling lonely today, or if you're feeling like you don't know what to do, you don't know your next step, you are in the right place at the right time. We are going to do our best to provide some great information today, help you get some great connections. And it is a pleasure that you guys are all here today. So a little bit about Career Connectors. We launched about 13 years ago, going on 14. And our goal is just to build a better community. And we do that through jobs and careers. And it's about empowering people, empowering job seekers, empowering people in career transition so that you know how to connect and take your right next step. Okay, you guys, I want to jump into some tech issues as we, or not tech issues, please God, no tech issues today. Let's talk about some technology, tech stuff. If you have a question today, the chat is going to be our best friend. So drop your questions in the chat. We have people, not just our speakers, but we have other coaches on the call that are going to be answering questions as we go today. And myself, my team, as well as our coaches. I saw Kitty on the line. I know that Amanda is coming. We have other coaches that are calling in so that they can answer questions as we go along. So if you have a question that we're not answering or we haven't gotten to, but you have a question, please drop it in the chat. That's how we're going to engage today. Now, the best way to view this event is in what is called a side-by-side speaker view. we're going to go to a point today where you're going to see just the speakers. And then we're going to go to a point today where we're going to bring up some examples of LinkedIn profiles, but you'll also have the speakers. And so the side-by-side speaker view is a great one to utilize. And that is in your top right of your laptop. There's a view button, a drop down, click on that one. And that one is really great. All right. At the end, we will be having breakout rooms. And so our breakout rooms, sometimes they can get kind of crowded because our event has grown quite a bit and we're trying to navigate through that. But we have a lot of coaches and resume writers and LinkedIn coaches on the call today that are going, including all of our speakers, that will be going into a breakout room at the end. And you will have the opportunity to jump into different breakout rooms, talk to a resume writer, ask questions, ask a LinkedIn coach for some guidance. And so wait till that time. It'll take us about an hour and 20 minutes or so to get through our our first session here. And then after that, we will be moving into the breakouts. If you are interested in closed captioning, we do have that available for you. That is at the bottom of your screen. Just click show captions and you will see the closed captioning available for you. So this morning or afternoon, wherever you're calling in from, this is our agenda. So we are going to jump into our Red Hot Resume panel with the experts. We brought in 3 ladies that are just the experts in this area. So we're going to talk about resumes. Then we're going to spend a few minutes after that going over a LinkedIn profile. And then we're going to ask these ladies who write LinkedIn profiles for a living, helping people get jobs. We're going to ask them about their best practices on LinkedIn, what to update, what matters, how to connect, things like that. And then we'll close it out and then we'll launch into our breakout rooms where you can go ask coaches specific questions about your specific scenario. And so at this event, during the speaking time, we're going to be answering questions that apply to everybody as much as possible. But if you have individual questions, you're specifically struggling in one area, or you want to make an update to this specific area and you're not sure how, that's for the breakout sessions. All right, so let's go ahead and move over to our Red Hot Resume panel. And I would like to introduce you all to dear friends of ours that have been part of Career Connectors a very long time, almost since the very beginning. Donna Tucker, Brenda Cunningham, and Lori Norris. So if you could round of applause. All right, Brenda, good morning.
Good morning to you and everyone.
And Lori, we have you on the line.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, and I know we're having some tech difficulties with Donna. Donna, are you there?
It's been awful this morning. I don't know why, but I'll do the best I can.
Okay, well, we can see you now. And so,
aren't you lucky?
So Donna is on her computer so you can see her, but she's talking through her phone.
No,
so,
I'm not.
No, you're on now?
Yeah, I couldn't get through on the phone either. So
okay, well, you're just a tad delayed, but we can understand you and we can hear you. So good news. All right, ladies. So I hope you all enjoy this. Again, engage in the chat if you have questions. These ladies know what they're talking about. I've been working with Brenda for 13 years. Donna, or Brenda, 10 years, I think. Donna, 13 years. And Lori, probably 7 or 8.
Long time.
A long time.
So when I say, and we refer, I mean, we work with them all the time. When I say they're the best in the business, it is no joke. They really are the best in the business. So first thing I'm going to ask each of you to do is just do a quick intro. Let us know, who you are, what your services are. And then one of my favorite questions, if you know a glaring mistake people make all the time, let us know what that is. All right, Brenda, you're going to kick us off.
All right, my pleasure. And yes, that is a nod to Chick-fil-A. My son works for Chick-fil-A, so they get a little shout today. And so I'm Brenda Cunningham. My company is called Push Career Management. That is not an accident. I believe in like doing the hard work, doing the darn thing. And so I work a lot because of my background in engineering. I work a lot with very technical folks. And so I understand very techie language. I'm very comfortable in that space, but I work with a lot of amazing professionals who are really just looking to increase their salary, maybe climb the corporate ladder or get back to work after a layoff. Many of them just simply don't know how to talk about themselves. And I think that's where a lot of job seekers find themselves. Like all of a sudden, I'm in the worst kind of moment or season of my life, like everything just kind of came apart, and now you want me to talk about myself, what? And so it can be a very challenging moment, and then we're expected to do the most. And so I end up working with a lot of folks that are in those spaces and just help them overcome those hurdles. One of the biggest mistakes or kind of areas for opportunity that I see a lot is really people, I think, trying to accomplish too much with a single resume. You want to maybe work in IT, but you're like, but I'm also open to doing some sales, and I'm also open to doing this. And so you're just sending out the same resume to everybody and wondering why you're not getting those callbacks, wondering why you're not really getting the traction that you're looking for. And it's because you're trying to accomplish too many goals with a single resume. And so please, please, please understand the importance of, I know we'll talk about it later, but of like customization and embracing the fact that sometime we are going to have to create multiple versions if we want to pursue multiple goals. And I will leave it at that for now.
Love it. Perfect. Thank you. All right, Donna, do a quick intro and tell us about a big mistake you often see.
I'm Donna Tucker. I've been working with resumes for this month, 35 years.
Wow.
And the thing that's kind of sad about it, this is my second career. So anyway, I'm a generalist. There isn't anything that I haven't attacked at some time or another. And the biggest mistake I see is not writing about accomplishment. They want to talk about, everybody wants to talk about their job descriptions, and it's not about the job, it's about you in the job and how well you performed, so that you can transfer that to the next company, that you can add value to the next company, and you're trying to prove it with your accomplishments from your employment history.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much, Donna. All right, I'm sorry, I was trying to see if I could add a couple people to Spotlight. I can. I'm trying to get it so you guys can see the people that are speaking. And I know it's a little bit hard because Donna was kind of frozen. So I'm gonna work on that to try and make that happen. So sorry if we're moving some things around real quick. All right, so Lori, what about you?
Hello, everybody. So I have been the owner of Get Results Career Services since 2004. And I've been teaching, I'm not sure, how is it that we've only worked together for 7 or 8 years? I don't
Maybe
understand.
15,
It's
I don't
probably
know.
been longer. And so I've been teaching resume writing, job search skills, self-marketing since 2002. So obviously I started all of this when I was 5 years old. So I was a very gifted child. And my focus is helping veterans who are in the process of transitioning out of the military. I work with everyone, but that is something I'm really passionate about. So if we have any military transitioners, military spouses, veterans in the audience, that's something that I am really focused on, helping veterans transition and translate their skills. And so that's really what I do. I work with both resumes and LinkedIn profiles, and I'm having video troubles too. I've got a faulty camera that thought we were going to have the parts in for, but I apologize. So I'm going to freeze everyone. But one of the things I'll say is that my colleagues took my 2 biggest mistakes. Thanks a lot for making me go last. But here's what I would say is one of the biggest mistakes, and people really miss out on this, is that people think their resume, their LinkedIn, their interview answers are about themselves. And that's really not what it's all about. I taught a class for Career Connectors called It's Not About You. And that really applies to the resume. Although we're talking about your history or accomplishments, the focus of all of this should be on the employer. What are their needs? What are their problems? How can you show that you can add value? How can you show that you're cost effective? That's really what the focus of your resume should be. As Donna said, it's not a work history. As Brenda said, it's not a catch-all for everything you've ever done. It needs to be a very targeted, focused marketing pitch to that employer. So that's the biggest mistake that I see.
I love that so much. If we can help people get into the mindset of you are here to showcase how you can solve a problem, how you can help an employer, like your resume gets looked at a different way through a different filter, and more people get connections and get an opportunity to interview. So if you all on the line can take your thoughts right now and just kind of think, okay, what are my main things I can solve a company's problem, and like put that through the filter of what we're talking about today. All right, we lost Donna for a second, I think, but as soon as she comes back, we will feature her again. So, all right, here's one of my favorite questions. You guys know this. So I'm going to ask in the chat, how many of you have asked for resume guidance from people in your family, from friends that have worked in HR, from somebody who's hired, from your spouse? Drop a 1 if you have asked for resume guidance from people. Help me, I don't know what I'm doing. Does this look good? I've revised it 10 times. One person told me to use this word. Okay, yes, look at that. How frustrating is it to get advice from 10 different people and get 10 different opinions? It is so frustrating. So here is my advice to you. And Pat, I'm gonna just jump right on that. Only take really good advice, good advice from people that are professional and certified and know what the heck they're talking about. And that is typically certified resume writers and certified career coaches. Now, you can always say, what do you think? Does it look good? But I'm telling you, these are the people that know how to get through the applicant tracking software, know how to get somebody's eyeballs on your resume. So Brenda, Lori, why you? Why should we listen to you?
Well, I'm going to tell you that the three of us will likely have different opinions today because we have a different approach to the resume. And so I'm going to tell you that you will make yourself crazy. If you show your resume to everybody, put this on, take this off, change this, move it here, put it there. Everyone's got a different opinion. And my approach is that beauty is very subjective. All of us find different things beautiful, and resumes are very subjective. And the one thing that's really frustrating about resumes is there are no rules. That you can't go like, here's a checklist, do it this way. So that's great because it's freeing. You can make it very personal. You can put your personality, your stamp on it. But what we're going to bring you today are best practices, things that we know will help you make sure your resume is successful. That we will talk about that dreaded ATS robot that's out there, pew, 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 shooting down your resume, which isn't really true, by the way. But there is some things we have to worry about there. So we're here to offer best practices. There is no one right way. Well, there are a couple of absolutes, but for the most part, there is no one right way. And we're just here today to talk to you about really good practices you can put into place.
Yeah, the bottom line, like your relatives, your people, they really do mean well. They really do want to help you. I have no doubt. However, I think back even to when I started in the resume writing space, I wasn't even very completely knowledgeable about a lot of different things. And so even though I called myself a resume writer, I still didn't know what the heck I was talking about. And so once you start going through these processes, you start learning, you link up with organizations like Resume Writers Council of Arizona, National Resume Writers Association, you start to learn, wait, hold on, there are some best practices here. There are some things that we need to know. The Resume Writers Council hosts the annual HR forum. We talk to the people who hire. We're getting that feedback from the hiring community, from the recruiting community, from the HR community that says, hey, this is what we're looking for. And so I know there's a lot of free information and resources out there on the internet, but if you don't know how to apply that well, or if you don't know when it is acceptable for you to break a rule or, break a protocol, then my friends, you sometimes are putting yourselves at a disadvantage. And so formal validation can really help. And so certification is crucial. Just knowing that you're working with somebody that actually knows what they're talking about, that quality information can be the difference between you kind of chugging along and wondering, what is wrong? Why nobody's hiring me? Oh, it's because I had this conversation the other day. Somebody said, oh, it's discrimination. They're not giving me a chance because I'm over a certain age. And I took a look at this person's resume and I took a look at this person's LinkedIn profile. I said, oh dear, it had nothing to do with your age. Right. And so we have got to make sure we understand that our family, our friends, our relatives, our people, they do genuinely want to help us. The best way they can help is to point you in the direction of an actual qualified professional to assist you.
Absolutely. I love that. And, I've been running this program for 15 years. I've been in recruitment forever. And still, when people ask me to review their resume, I always say, I'll take a look and I'll tell you if it looks nice. But I am not the expert. Here are the people that can help you. Because even in this business, I know I'm not up on certifications. I'm not up on the current way that the technology is working, or the current way that keywords are working, or whatever it is. And so I love that we have this resource. Good morning, Donna. Are you back?
I don't know.
Okay, well, we'll try it. So Donna, tell us a little bit about, the question was, about your resume background, about certifications, that kind of thing. Talk a little bit about the importance there.
Well, 35 years has helped a lot, but I am a certified resume writer and a nationally certified online profile expert, which means LinkedIn. They just couldn't use the name in the certification. And the participating and continuing education constantly makes such a difference. There's so much to learn. After 35 years, when I attend any of the webinars on the National Association of Resume Writers, I learn something every single time. So it's amazing to me that people can write their own resumes, and some of them do a nice job, but it really helps them to have at least some input from a professional, I believe.
Great, love it. Okay, let's get into the functionality of resumes. So if we're talking about the mechanics and the format, can you guys just kind of go into a couple of the main key components that are important to include? Lori, you want to kick this one off?
So, as we said, really, there's no rules, right? But one of the things I'll tell you is there is a style of resume out there called a functional resume. And a functional resume is focused on skills that doesn't have dates or chronology. And I'm going to tell you that your dates are important. And so you must have your chronological work experience in that resume. So try to stay away from that functional style. Honestly, this is the way that we teach people to write their resumes who are coming out of prison. And I will tell you that I've written resumes for those people. Also people who are returning to the workplace. Maybe they've taken time off to be a stay-at-home mom. You can still put chronology on your resume and do it effectively. So dates are really important. So I'll leave it at that and let the other ladies touch on some things.
And I'll actually jump on that bandwagon because it's the context within those dates too, right? It's fine to know that you worked at this place for 5 years, but that ends up, a lot of these systems ends up recognizing, hey, you've used this skill for 5 years, so you might be something of an expert in this particular skill area. So it can really start to paint the right kind of picture that you are this expert, right? I can start to see you in this kind of expert status. So timeline is definitely essential. Your goal, come on, like y'all gonna see me breathe a little heavy today because I get very, very passionate about this. Too many, we're trying to accomplish too many things with a single resume, and you'll say something like, I just want to work in tech, I just want to work in healthcare, and I don't know what that means. Tech is huge. Are you talking about network infrastructure? Are you talking about help desk call center support? Which dimension of tech are we even talking about? Be as specific as you possibly can be. And if you're like, oh, I don't want to be pigeonholed, that's okay. Go ahead and create multiple versions of the resume so that you can pursue as many different paths as you like. And so those are going to be some huge things. Let's I'm going to add this. This is something I don't know if I've ever said before on this resource, is on education. I've come across it a lot in recent years, where folks feel like if they haven't completed their bachelor's degree, that they can't possibly put it on their resume. And let me tell you something, a lot of these systems are simply looking for the term Bachelor of Science. And if you, my friend, have completed like 80% of a bachelor's degree, that is worth something. Do not keep leaving that thing off of your resume because, oh, I'm not telling the truth. It's unethical. It's not unethical to say Bachelor of Science in hotel management, whatever it is, and then do a qualifier there in parentheses. Go ahead and say, majority of coursework completed or some coursework completed. We're telling the whole truth, but you have to remember you are playing a game against a computer, and that thing is not on your side. And so everything you can do to outsmart that thing and to out navigate and outmaneuver that thing is going to be in your best interest.
Yeah.
Please,
Yeah, Donna.
Going back to where Brenda started about the focus, make sure that top third of your resume is presenting your value, your qualifications for the job at hand. And then the experience section is going to prove it. So that's where you want to get the beginnings of your keywords, your skill sets, your technical skills. If you're going to be in a tech, I see so often they're right at the bottom, which is fine if you're not in a technical field, but that's some of the most important things that some of the tech jobs are looking for, is what platforms you're familiar with and languages and that sort of thing. So make that should be in the top portion of the resume too.
Awesome. Lori, you have anything to add to that?
I want to talk about focus. Like Brenda touched on the importance of having a targeted, focused resume. And I like to use this as an analogy. If I were going to go out fishing today in the Pacific Ocean and I had no idea what kind of fish I was going to catch, I wouldn't know what part of the ocean to fish in. Do I fish on the bottom? Do I fish on the surface? Do I go to warm waters, cold waters? What kind of tackle do I like? How strong do my line need to be? Do I take live bait? Do I take, I don't know, whatever. I'm not a fisherman, but I don't know what kind of bait, tackle, or where to go. So I'm going to go out fishing in this huge ocean, and I'm going to come back very frustrated and say, there are no fish in that ocean. So if you're in the chat saying there are no jobs out there, no one wants to hire me, it's not that there aren't jobs, because I get messages from people every single week that are getting hired. It's that you're not using the right bait. You're not using the right tackle. You're not fishing in the right place. And so you've got to have a targeted, focused approach through your resume, your LinkedIn, and who you're networking with in order to be successful. So
yeah, absolutely. I want to just mention a couple things. A lot of questions in the chat. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Amanda, for being on and answering questions as we go. We really appreciate you. You guys, Amanda is a professional certified resume writer, so she's responded to your questions. Listen to her. See, you got a thumbs up from our ladies on the call. So this session is being recorded. And so you can listen back to this at any time. We will have it uploaded this afternoon. And so some of you are like, hey, can I hear information back? I need this information? So you're going to get it back. It will come out in an email to you as well with a link. So you'll get that after the call. And then, we have a lot of questions in here about gaps in employment and ageism. So we will address that in just a few minutes. I want to get through some of the functionality and layout. All right, let's jump over to layout, ladies. And so a lot of the questions we have, and you talked about functional versus traditional, but we number of pages, format, font, experience, how far to go back, that kind of stuff. So who wants to address what to include? Who wants to start?
Those are the easy parts.
Good, go for it, Donna.
Right? The old myth is that a resume has to be one page. Absolutely not, especially if you have some experience. 2 pages is fine. Very few people need more than 2 pages, but it happens. But is it all going to be important? Remember who's going to be reading the resume. Do they need to know that much just to call you for an interview? This doesn't get you, the resume doesn't get you the job. We're just trying to get in front of somebody to talk, to sell ourselves to the employer. So you don't need to tell the whole story here. Fonts today, Calibri seems to be the most, do you all agree? Calibri seems to be the most practical. Stay away from serif fonts, the ones with the little feet, like Times New Roman, for instance. Not only does it is it kind of outdated, but it doesn't usually work quite as well sometimes in some of the old applicant tracking software systems. Be sure to, don't make the font so big that it looks like you're writing for a first grader to read, but then make it readable. So sometimes people try to cram so much into the page that it's almost unreadable because the type is so small. The whole thing is readability. Don't be afraid to add a little color. That doesn't hurt today, and it makes it a little more attractive. But try not to use tables, columns. Applicant tracking software can't read columns. And don't put your header into a formal header, your contact information into a formal header. Applicant tracking software can't read anything in headers and footers. So stay away from that.
And just to add on to that, what Donna means on that is if you're in a Word document and at the very top, you double click and you're inside the footer or the header, and at the bottom, the footer, if you're inside of that and you put your title or your contact information, oftentimes that will not translate to the applicant tracking software. So it can't read your email, your phone number, your header. And so it's a big miss. So make sure you're not double clicked inside of that. Great. Thank you, Donna. Brenda, anything additional there?
I'm thinking just very broadly. Donna, you said something about ATS not being able to read columns. I want to clarify that columns can be read. However, you need to understand how columns are read. And so if you understand that a column is read like this, and then I'll go to the second column. And so what people are doing oftentimes is putting like a title over here and the content over there. And the content is being very convoluted. And so oftentimes I want you to consider steering clear of resume templates, places like Canva, places like, even some of the Microsoft templates download from the internet. They look so beautiful. They're so pretty. And so this is not an argument that we're making against beauty, right? Lori kind of talked about beautiful things, right? And so there's nothing wrong with having a beautiful resume as long as you understand how the computer system, somebody is But yeah, so understand how those things are actually comprehended. So a lot of those templates will use things like text boxes. And so whatever you put inside of the text box, you might as well kiss it goodbye. That ATS didn't see it. And so you probably have some of the best content and some of the best experiences, and you're not working within the systems that we have to work with. Now, am I saying that I love ATS, that I love that the fact that we have to do all this song and dance and jumping through fireball hoops? No. But this is the system that we're kind of stuck with at the moment. And so I'm not trying to teach you how things ought to be. I'm trying to teach you how to navigate things the way they are.
Great point. Such a great point. Lori, what about you?
I just want to just tell you an example. I had somebody reach out to me the other day who I had helped him with his resume, and he's like, I'm not getting any phone calls. I'm like, that's really weird. Let's look at it. So we looked at the jobs he was applying for and his resume. And honestly, I said, I have no idea why you're not getting calls. You're well qualified for these roles. And as we were talking, he's like, well, I did make a few changes and I put my contact information in a header. I was like, I did the Home Alone face, right? And that's exactly why he wasn't getting calls. He was going into their system with no name, no email, no phone number. They didn't know who he was. So it's like this great candidate, but they can't call him because they don't know who he is. They're not going to go dig through 1,000 resumes and match that up. And so I'm like, all right, listen, you've got to take this resume exactly as I give it to you and go apply to jobs. We did that last week. He's already had 3 calls for interviews this week. And so it's just, he changed it, put it in a header. So that is so very important. That is a great point. So
I tell folks all the time, I'm like, something that you're struggling with for months on end, and you just convinced yourself that you're just unworthy. Nobody wants you. The system is out to get you. Lori and I, Donna, we can take one look and in 5 minutes be like, oh, this is the problem right here. So stop beating your head up against this kind of wall and get some help. Get help if you need help. There's no shame in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about the gaps. And you addressed right at the beginning, Brenda, the ageism issue. One of my favorite things about Brenda, you guys, is she keeps it real. And so Brenda, once a year, will come in and do a talk for Career Connectors all around the major things people say when it comes to discrimination. Now, we know there's a reality there, but we also know there's a way to better portray yourself in different times. And so, Brenda, I'm going to directly come to you on this one. I love how you address this. And so let's talk about the ageism thing. How far do you go back? And what are some things you can do to kind of avoid being looked at as too old or not a fit? Could you address that?
I will say that because I had been asked by Career Connectors a few different times to talk on, discrimination and these sorts of things, I was actually inspired. So I went and sought out an employment law certification at the end of last year. And so I earned that through Cornell. And I was like, yeah, we're going to do this thing, y'all. We're going to do this thing right. No opinions here. We're going to make sure we are rooted in fact and information. And so this is very real talk. And one of the things that I'm disappointed to say that I learned, but I'm again going to keep it real with you, is that a lot of these systems are really rooted in kind of honor system. There is law, there is compliance, there is policy, but enforcement of said policies is very difficult. And so oftentimes it is really rooted in honor system. And so again, one of the best mechanisms to avoid a lot of discrimination is to maybe network your way through this process. And I know that that's like an evil, bad, heavy word for a lot of people to carry, that word networking, but we can do it. We can do hard things. I promise you can do hard things. But yes, so then we have to come back to, okay, well, and I saw some things in the chat here, like on my application, they're asking me to fill out my date of birth and what about my education? I got that 20 years ago. Won't they know? Well, here's the deal. No, they don't need to know how old you are by looking at your resume. And so often we're giving away the very pieces of information that other people can then use to discriminate against us. And so why do I need to know that you got a degree in 1982? The answer is I don't. I don't need to know that you got a degree in 1982. What I need to know is that you have a degree. And so you can list the degree without a date attached to it. There is no rule, no law, no policy or otherwise that says you need to include that. But again, where else are we kind of inadvertently revealing our age? And so we're doing it in our email addresses. We're doing it when we say, you know, michael.smith1976@aol.com. So now on 2 different points, you told me probably you were born in 1976 and you're using an AOL. What the heck? AOL is not the jam right now. So let's go ahead and embrace today's tools and create a Gmail account that does not reveal your age. Let's go ahead and think about how many times at the very top of your resume, you'll say something like seasoned professional with 35 years of experience. And listen, I know you're proud of it. I'm proud of you, but
I just said it myself.
But now Donna was presenting as an entrepreneur. And as an expert, she was painting a picture, and that was important.
Yeah.
As a job seeker, it is a slightly different conversation. And so again, recognizing your audience, as Lori said earlier, right, is not always about you. And I know that you're really proud of that 35 years of experience. I know that you are. I'm hecka proud of you. But the moment you tell me that, I start to make certain assumptions about how old I think you are. And here's the stigma that I want you to really, really understand is the stigma behind age discrimination is you haven't kept up with technology. You're too set in your ways, very rigid, right? And you probably cost too much. And so if you're giving me all of this right at the start of our, would-be relationship, then I probably don't have a whole lot of motivation to pick up the phone and say, hey, I want to have this conversation with you. You're giving away the farm. You're telling me 35 years of experience. You're telling me words like seasoned. And if you're coming out of military, you might use language like retired military. Stop.
Yeah.
Stop. Under no circumstances will you ever use the R word in your resume. That's a bad word. No. And so again, education. And then as far as how back do I go back on my resume? Well, 10 to 15 years is a great place to just create that snapshot of, and I got that word from Lori. I love that word, snapshot, moment in time, 10 to 15 years. I don't have to go all the way back to, my first job as a cashier at the grocery store when I was 15. I can start at a reasonable place where it makes sense to showcase that I have the skills, the expertise, and the experience to do this particular role. I don't have to account for everything I've ever done. Listen, y'all, I can braid my daughter's hair. I can give my dog a bath. I can grocery shop like the best of them. But these are skills that are absolutely irrelevant to my resume, right? If you're calling me to ask about your resume, you don't care that I can braid hair. You don't care that I know how to groom a dog. You don't care about those things. And so let me stay focused. Let me concentrate on the areas that do matter. And let me not do things that kind of shoot myself in the foot, as it were. And so, yes, discrimination, it's an ugly situation. And the positive thing that I'll leave you with regard to discrimination is if people are going to discriminate against you, please let them. Please let them. Please avoid that heartache and that hurt of stepping into a situation where people really don't want you to be there and will likely try to set you up to fail. And so use it as really good information. Not all rejections are bad news. Some of them are the best things you'll ever hear.
I love that last point, as hard as that is for people to hear.
Yeah.
It is, it takes a minute. It's like, what are you saying? But I have unlimited amount of stories of people that have taken jobs that knew in their gut in the interview that they were not being respected, that they were going to be driven over, that they were going to be dismissed. And you have a choice in that moment to move forward, ignore it and move forward. Or you could fight it if you think if it's real discrimination and you want to prove it, that is an option. Or you bless and release it and you move on.
So none of this is easy, right? This is emotionally taxing kind of stuff, to your point. Absolutely, y'all. So this is not for the weak. Yes, you can fight some of these things, but we just don't all have the energy to fight. And if you've got to take something out of necessity, hear me, right? I believe this with my whole heart. We are adults and we have responsibilities. We have bills to pay. We have mouths to feed, and so on and so forth. And so if you've got to do what you've got to do, and you've got to take a job, even though something in your gut saying this isn't the one, this isn't the way, please create a way of escape for yourself. So if you're stuck in that thing Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, you can't even interview somewhere else, and you are effectively stuck at least 90 days, probably longer, until you have accrued some vacation time. So let's just really think this thing all the way through to the end. See this thing for what it's worth. Do what you have to do, but I want to just encourage you at the same time.
Yeah, Lori, go ahead.
That, like discrimination is based in fear, right? Most discrimination is fear-based, and age discrimination, especially, on the older end of the spectrum, is, you don't have the energy. I saw a comment from Felicia that really addressed that really well. So I think you should scroll back up and look for Felicia's story. Lack of energy, not open to new technology and change. You're only going to work for another year and you're going to retire. So these are all things that you can address. You can address your being open to new technology, innovative ideas in your resume. You can showcase your energetic personality in your cover letter and on your LinkedIn profile. So these are all things that you can address. And also what I want you to think about is, let's say you've got 30 years of experience and you're interviewing with a 25-year-old who's going to be your boss. That could be intimidating to them. Now, some people will see that and like, oh, I can learn so much from you. You're going to be a valuable addition to my team. But others are going to be scared by you. They're going to, this is my job and I want to hold on to it and I want to protect it. And if I bring you in, you might take it from me.
Yeah.
And so just know that that is a fear. And so what we need to know is that we're trying to tell them why we're a good fit for their team. That's the whole purpose of your resume. And so they don't need to know that 30 years of experience. And if you're sitting there like, well, I don't have great experience in the last 10 years, you can go a little bit further back, or you can also have an earlier career experience section at the bottom of your resume that doesn't have dates, that just says 5 years of experience. That doesn't go back to the 90s. We don't want to do that, right? But just on the other end of the spectrum, because I saw a message in the comments, what if I'm young, right? Because you can get age discrimination from being young as well. I just graduated from college. I don't have any experience. And I just wrote my 21-year-old daughter's resume the other day, and we filled a whole page, and she's only worked, a couple places. So just know that there are things you can put in there from your education to show value, school projects to show value, extracurricular activities. So, there is both ends of the spectrum on the age discrimination line.
And be sure that you're looking at the job announcement and what they care about. It's one thing to say all these things you can do, but if it's not relevant to what they're looking for. So make sure that top third of the resume again is all about what you're bringing to the table that will solve their problems, that will ease their pain points. It's all about, as Lori said earlier, it's all about them and what you can do to add value to their company, help them make more money, help them save money, help them make their customers happy or happier. And that's that top third of the resume. And then you can prove it, even if you have no experience, you can prove it by accomplishment in the last part of the resume. There's accomplishments everywhere, even if it wasn't selling more than the next person in a sales job. There's so many things that you can use as accomplishment with a little help.
So
I would just like to add very briefly.
But on a resume, just to understand that.
Wait a minute. Who's
I don't know
talking?
what's happening.
I don't know. Bree, if you can mute everybody, I'm gonna bring back the 4 here. Okay, sorry, ladies, I'm not sure what happened. Brenda, go ahead.
No worries. Just to some of us are still going to be like, I just don't have enough meat. I don't have enough content. Maybe I don't have enough experiences yet. And so often I'll see that folks are overlooking things like volunteer experience. And so Lori had a really great list. Donna added greatly to that list. And now we just want to go a little bit deeper yet and say volunteer experience is still experience. Stop thinking that that somehow doesn't count simply because you weren't paid to do it. And so when you have an opportunity to plug in, I will shamelessly plug Career Connectors, right? If you have an opportunity, and if it makes sense for the work that you're looking to do. If you're looking to work in career services, you volunteering for Career Connectors makes total sense. So do that sort of thing. Sign up for, a committee within an organization or an association that you're part of. Those things not only help you to round out skill sets, but they help you to create a completely valuable network. So what are we waiting for exactly? And to the person that said, I've been doing everything wrong. You didn't know better until right now. And so right now, you know better. And from this moment forward, you can do better. You've got to unmute, Jessica.
Okay, sorry. I want to jump into accomplishments. I have a hard time with that word. Accomplishment statements and what they mean and why they're important and where do you put them. So Lori, let's have you start this off. What are they, and tell us a little bit about them and how you do them.
Accomplishments are proof, bottom line, right? So an accomplishment is proof of your ability to add value. So what I want you to think about is your resume is not about where you've been, it's about where you're going. However, we're using where we've been to validate that we can add value where we're going. And so your experience examples, your accomplishments, your measurable whenever possible, tell us how you helped your employer in the past. And so your accomplishments should really truly be throughout your resume. Your summary section at the top can have some highlights. You should have measurable accomplishments in every section, every work experience section. They should be in your LinkedIn profile, which we're going to talk about, and they should be ready to talk about in your interview. But really, accomplishments are a critical part of making your resume not read like a job description. And like Brenda talked about earlier, it should be focused on value. So that's really what an accomplishment's all about.
Yeah.
So I like to go a little bit in the storytelling mode here. Not real storytelling, but let's think about this. If you look at your resume, I want you to actually look at your resume. If you have it in front of you, take a quick glance. Look at what your bullet points actually say. And oftentimes I'll look at a resume and I'll see a bullet point that it'll either go so brief and it'll say something like answered phones. Or it'll be still very generic, a little bit detailed. I ordered supplies, I completed tasks as required by management. And so you're really feeling like you're putting in a good effort there, but neither of those things are accomplishments. Both of those were things that you were supposed to do. Right. And so I want you to get into the habit of asking yourself a couple of key questions. One of the questions it's the easiest question. And I know you're going to get a little defensive when you ask it of yourself. But the question is, so what? You answer phones. So what? My daughter, she's 17. She can answer a phone and I don't have to pay her $50,000 a year to do it. So what that you answer the phone? And then you'll get mad and you'll say, but I answered like 400 calls a day and I had to document notes and I had to, calm down the customers when they were angry. Oh, so that's what you did. I get it now. And so instead of saying I answered phones, you'll say I answered 400 calls a day while diffusing complex customer situations and documenting meticulous notes in the CRM system. I got a whole heck of a lot more information.
Go a step further,
like
Brenda.
that.
Go a
Again?
step further. go a step further. And what value did that bring to the company? Repeat
so-
business, customer loyalty, customer
Absolutely.
retention. Those, so now it's a whole picture, right?
Absolutely. Amanda said, I'm looking at something Amanda said, I think it was great. She said, you know, you don't have to always have numbers. As long as you have result, benefit, outcome, that's sufficient. Quantity is great, but quality is good too. And so yes, impact, what difference did you make? Answering that question, so what? And then the other key question that I'd love for you to incorporate into your thought process is, how did I know I was doing a good job? Right? What were the actual measures of success? And then how did you perform against that metric? And so really start to ask yourselves those questions on a consistent basis. It's going to start to really strengthen and bulk up the content of your resume.
Yeah, so good, you guys. Okay, so I see this question multiple times. Again, we are recording this. You will get an email after today with the link to the recording. Also, a lot of people are like, help me, I need help. Can someone help me? So I know this can often seem overwhelming. So the ladies have said it multiple times, take this in chunks, but we will also include in that email the information to Brenda, Lori, Donna, Amanda Miller, all of them in that email. So if you want to reach out to them directly and schedule some time, you can do that. What we do at Career Connectors is at no cost. So when you go into these breakout rooms, you can talk to them. And then if there's a fee that to rewrite your resume, if it needs a redo, then they can talk to you about that offline at another time. But what you're getting here is the information, and then in the breakout rooms, you can ask about your specific situation. All right, awesome, ladies. Thank you so much. Let's talk about the applicant tracking software. Donna, your favorite topic. Can you talk a little bit about that, what it is, and you know, what are some of the tips on making it work for you and not against?
Anytime you apply for a job online, your resume is going to go into an applicant tracking software system. There are, I used to say 200, but I've recently found there's like almost 700 different applicant tracking software systems. Therefore, you never know how sophisticated they are, because some are going to be more than others. So write your resume to the bottom denominator if you want it to work. And when I say that is, yes, when we were talking earlier about columns and text boxes and that sort of thing, some of the older ones don't read those. Some of the newer ones will. They're very sophisticated. And if you want to take your chance, that's fine. But be careful of the formatting for applicant tracking, because if they can't read it, they won't read it. But the big thing with applicant tracking software is keywords. They've been programmed to read keywords from the job posting. And if they're not in your resume, nobody will ever know that you exist. You're scored usually, and of course, depending upon the recruiter, the company, they may just take the top 5 to contact. They may take the top 10 to contact, but regardless, you want to be up there at the top, and it's going to be all about giving them what they're looking for. And there's just no way around it. Again, as Brenda said about being targeted, yeah, if you've got all the keywords in there, if you're telling them all about their industry needs, they're going to contact you.
So Lori, let me ask you about that. So we have a resume, we have a job description. Tell me, how do I know what keywords and how do I incorporate them into this resume so it will get through the system that Donna is talking about?
So it's, you know, the keywords is that term, right? And so if all we had to do was incorporate the keywords from the job posting into our resume, then it would be so easy, right? But you also need to do research into the company. What are their needs and problems to the industry? Because if it were just easy enough to read the job posting and put those into our resume, then it would be a much simpler process. And so it's important that you do read through that job posting. I like to have it, put it into a Word document, highlight those keywords that they've identified, And then I do a little bit of research into the industry and make sure that I'm incorporating those types of keywords in there as well. And then you just can lay the two side by side and see, like, did I put project management as a keyword? Have I shown that I'm a project manager? Have I demonstrated all the keywords around project management? I'm going to tell you right now that you're going to be more successful by sending out 10 targeted focused resumes than 200 generic resumes that where you try to appeal to everyone. You will get more interviews from 5 or 10 focused resumes than you will from just papering the world with 200 resumes. Just hit submit, submit, submit. You're going to have better success. And so I just want to, you know, and it is important to target and focus your resume. It is important to work harder on each application. And so if you're telling me like I'm applying to 100 jobs a week, I'm going to tell you you're not doing it right. Bottom line, you're just not going about this process. It's not, you know, it's not a spray and pray, right? Like we just kind of shoot and hope that something sticks. We need to take a sniper approach to the job search. Bottom line, right?
Amen, Lori. Amen.
I'd like to add
Sorry.
to that in that when we're talking keywords, somebody just said in the chat, I noticed that I put a column on the side of my resume with all the keywords. Doesn't that work? Well, again, columns is not a good idea because it leads the applicant tracking software reads left to right and all the way from left to right, you know, to the left column to the right column. So that's not going to work. But it's not just a matter of telling the words, then you've got to incorporate those terms in your accomplishments within the experience section. Show that you've used these terms, that you practice them, that you're an expert at them. Those just at the top, just give them just that little taste, that tip of the iceberg that says there's something more within my resume that you want to read because I know these words are important to you.
Yeah, love it. All right, ladies, we are over time like we always are. And but we're keeping them on the line because we're going to kind of transition into a LinkedIn discussion because the resume and the LinkedIn are probably the main components of job search and getting in front of the eyeballs of the hiring manager or the recruiter. And so we're going to kind of switch over there. Bree, I want to see if I can share my screen. And I'm going to go ahead and try and do that right now so that we can look at the LinkedIn profile. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, I'm going to jump over to Brenda's because I love hers. And so I just want to spend a minute to give you guys an outline of LinkedIn. And then I'm going to dive into the questions for the experts. So you can see this is your LinkedIn profile. If you do not have a LinkedIn profile, you need one. There are so many reasons I could go into why you need a LinkedIn profile. I remember the days of where you had to be invited to join LinkedIn. And it was like 17 years or more than that, probably 20 years ago. I remember being invited to LinkedIn and going, why do I need this? And so this is a tool that you need because recruiters are on it. The numbers are as high as 95% of recruiters are on LinkedIn. In fact, when I connect with a recruiter and I go to pull them up on LinkedIn and they're not on LinkedIn, I'm like, how can they recruit and not be on LinkedIn? So this is, you can see there's a stunning picture. Brenda has a stunning picture. She has at the top her name and then keywords all up here. And then she's joined groups. You can see that she has a whole bunch of activity here, which is important, engagement. And then you'll see her experience listed down here along in this main section. And so it is really, those are main key components of LinkedIn. There's also a profile section right here or overview section. This section can be chock full of power keywords. And so let's talk about that a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and jump back over to talking to the ladies, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to keep this up for a few minutes. And so let's start with Brenda. Why don't, since this is your beautiful profile, why don't you talk about the value of LinkedIn and why using it in the job search?
I'll tell you, even beyond the job search, LinkedIn has incredible value. And so that's one thing I want to make sure we get straight here today is don't look at LinkedIn as only a tool that I only use when I need a job and that is it. And then I get to disappear. LinkedIn is your kind of window to the rest of the world. You get to connect with all manner of people because listen here, you don't know where your next opportunity is coming from. You don't know who that right connection is, who that right person is. I can tell you of opportunities that have seemed to fall out of the sky, but it didn't fall out of the sky. It came because I had a great relationship with somebody like Jessica or Donna or what have you, right? So how the heck did I get to be the president-elect of the National Resume Writers Association without a good word from Donna, right? She served on that board for years. And so she said, hey, I'll put the stamp of approval on Brenda. And so here we go. And so opportunities come when you have good relationships with people. And when you're just showing up to say, hey, I need a job, help me some more, help me some more, help me one more time. People don't know you. They don't know if they can trust you. They don't know if they can rely on you. And so LinkedIn becomes this very vital tool because it allows you to engage with people, connect with people, and actually nurture those relationships. And it's a great platform for you to showcase your expertise. Like
There you go.
You're a great IT manager, like show me something, right? Like Lori said, proof, evidence. Show me that you're in the know, that you're joined up with some association. Show me that you have the latest credential and certification, if you will. Show me that you're attending some meetings and some webinars. I want to know those things because those are the things that help me to know, okay, she might actually know what she's doing. He might actually know what he's talking about. He might really be good at this job. And because we've had some level of engagement, if I see an opportunity, my mind can do the mental connections and I can say, you know what, what's your name? Hugh Scott. Hey, Hugh is the man for the job. You don't want to look any further. One word from me might make all the difference for you. And so that's what we want. We want to be in that position to say, hey, Felicia is the best thing since sliced bread. You better get on the phone with her, right? Come on, Felicia. It's not bye, Felicia. It's hi, Felicia. We want you, Felicia. And so all of those things really are integrated parts of LinkedIn. So please don't think that it's just something to go to when I need a job. I haven't needed a job for a decade and a half, and I'm on LinkedIn almost every day.
And recruiters are using LinkedIn almost exclusively these days to recruit. Where they used to make those phone calls to people in the industry, they don't do that anymore. It's all about LinkedIn. They pay big dollars to join LinkedIn Recruiter. And through that, they use the same principles as algorithms as applicant tracking software. And they put the keywords into their LinkedIn Recruiter format, whatever, and they find you that way. And if yours isn't up to date, if it doesn't tell, again, your accomplishments, your value, just like your resume, they're going to pass you over. And I did notice one thing that Brenda had on hers that I would not recommend.
Do tell.
People, you have on the side of your column, a column on the side of your resume, you left on people also viewed. And I tell my clients to take that off, to turn that off, because that's your competition.
Wow. I'm going to jump over there, you guys, so you can see what she's talking about.
See there on the side, Lori and Robert Zealous and David Hannock, that's Brenda's competition. Why should she advertise for them?
Wow.
So now part of being an expert is knowing a best practice and making executive decisions to go against it. But no,
I didn't mean to criticize you, Brenda,
no.
but I'm just,
I love it.
And this shows too that we all see things a little bit differently sometimes.
And so I'll put it this way. I think Donna was just right on the money, right? If let's put it, if the vast majority of the recruiting community is looking for talent on LinkedIn and you're not there, then you end up being the world's best kept secret. But similarly, if you're on LinkedIn and your headline is something, yes, Kim Baker says, what about this generic introduction? If your headline is like, I like to help people, or I'm looking for work, or I'm open to new opportunities, that tells me nothing about who you are and what you can do, and more importantly, what you could do for me. And so I end up just being like, well, probably nothing, next. And I'll move on to the next person in the lineup. And so please avoid generic at all costs.
Your resume on steroids is
Ooh,
a
yes.
definition of LinkedIn.
We talk about like how LinkedIn works for you as a job seeker. You've heard of like making money while you sleep. Well, LinkedIn is like job searching while you sleep. And so it really serves a couple of purposes. It draws people to you who can find you in searches. And the only way they're going to find you in searches are to have your LinkedIn be keyword optimized, just like your resume, and to have enough connections so that you show up in searches. And so they can find you and reach out to you directly with job opportunities. And then also it serves the purpose of when they have your resume in their hands and they want to learn a little bit more about you, they can go to your LinkedIn profile and do a little kind of in-depth, little background check on you. And so with that said, your resume and your LinkedIn should not be a copy paste of each other. They should be complementary, but not a copy paste, not exactly the same. Think of your LinkedIn as a more conversational telling of your background in your career that showcases your approach to your job, to your industry. And like everyone has said, it showcases your expertise. And so your activity is really important. If you've never posted anything, commented, liked anything, it's like having, like I told this to Jessica the other day, like building a LinkedIn profile and doing nothing with it is like having a hammer that just sits on your workbench. That hammer only works if you pick it up and drive the nails. LinkedIn is the same way. It doesn't do anything for you if you just create a profile and leave it there and you don't connect with anybody, you don't engage with anybody, you don't use it. It's a tool that you have to put into play. And I promise you, it will generate some amazing results for you.
Yeah, I really, part of launching Career Connectors back in the day, I lived on LinkedIn. That's how I found out who was hiring, where events to go to, how to connect with people. So we're going to do something action oriented. So if you have kind of tuned out for a minute, I need you all back into this. I need you all engaged, 150 of you that are on the line. Look at me, look at me. We are going to connect with each other on LinkedIn. If you have a LinkedIn portfolio or profile already, I hope most of you do, I would like you to drop your LinkedIn URL in the chat. And what that's going to do, thank you, Pat. What that's going to do is you can click on that and then connect directly to that person, because these ladies in just a minute are going to talk about the importance of connection. And so I am dropping in the instructions on how to do that. But basically you open a browser and you go to LinkedIn. If you click on your picture, it'll pull up your profile. So you want to get to your profile link because that is the one that's your direct link to you. Copy and paste that. You want it to be blue, pasted blue, like Trisha and Bob and Natalia and Washington and Jenna. You want it to be blue because then it's clickable and we can connect to each other. So please connect to each other while they're talking right now about how LinkedIn helps us connect and find a job. You guys talk about the importance of connections and how to utilize that network.
Before we get to that, something that's really important is customizing the LinkedIn URL. It has, when you get it, when you open an account, it has all those funny little numbers at the end. Your name's there, but all the funny little numbers, get rid of that. Make it your name. If it's already taken, maybe a hyphen in between, or mine says Donna Tucker AZ. if you're going to stay in the state. But that's really important because then that goes on your resume too. That's in your contact information on your resume. And you don't, once you put it on your resume with all those funny little numbers, it says you don't know what you're doing. You don't know anything about social media. So very important.
Very important. And I'm just going to share my screen real quick. So I'm going to flip over because people are like, how do I do that? So here is the profile I'm talking about. If you're on your profile page, and this link up here is the one that you should be doing a copy and paste into the chat. Right here, edit public profile and URL. Right there, you're going to click into that and you can get rid of all those extra numbers and letters, and you can make it your name, or preferably your name, because then it's most searchable. So that is how you do that. All right, so what else, ladies? What else about connections? How do you connect, and what's the importance of that?
I want to,
okay.
go ahead, Lori, please.
Brenda and I have been friends a long time, so we can talk over each other. So, okay, so you need a number of people in your network. You need people who you've worked for, people who you've worked with, people who have worked for you, so they can give you different kinds of recommendations. You need people who can educate and inform you. You need people who can be a reference or resource for you, and you need people who can refer you to jobs. So lots of different people. And so it's important that you expand your network. I think I have like 8,000 connections on LinkedIn. I don't know 8,000 people, but there are certain kinds of people. I don't know if I really know 8 people, let's be honest. And so there are certain kinds of people that anytime they reach out to me, I connect with them. And so I serve veterans. So anybody who is in the military, I'll automatically connect with them because a lot of my content I put out there is targeted to them. And so it's important that you have a diverse array of people in your network. You can do targeted searches on LinkedIn with filters where you're looking for people that, let's say I want to work for the ABC company, and I put in a targeted search and I want to connect with all the people that work at the ABC company, because when the recruiter from the ABC company goes out looking for candidates, they're going to get search results ranked in order of their first and second degree connections. And if I'm connected with a bunch of people at the ABC company, then I'm more likely to show up in their search. So again, target your connections.
That's a big one.
So.
That's really good. I love everything Lori just said. I'll say, don't be afraid to connect with people. A lot of times, like, it's so obvious we should be connected, and it's like, why did you opt to follow me instead of connecting with me? Connect with people that you want to connect with. LinkedIn makes it easy. They just give you the little layup, right? It's right there for you, silver platter. Take advantage of that thing. Don't be intimidated by a person like, oh, I don't know, I shouldn't connect with them. Oh, they're the speaker at the program. No, forget that. We need each other. So get connecting. And then one of the kind of philosophies that I share, similarly to what Lori just mentioned, is to really think about strategic connections. And so if your job search approach is to say, not just I'm going to apply for every single job that I could possibly qualify for, but I want to work for these companies, right? And so I know that Career Connectors partners with like Best Companies AZ. I talk about that all the time. Look at some of these best companies that are out here just killing it, doing great things, have a great company culture, all of that sort of stuff. And if you know you want to work at a particular place, then do start connecting strategically with people at those places. And so connect directly with the recruiters at those places, with the talent acquisition people at those places, but also connect with other people who do what you do at those places so that you can maybe start some informational interview conversations. But no matter what you're doing, no matter who you're connecting with, please always, did you hear like the gristle in my voice? Always make sure that you help them understand why they should connect with you. Using that custom note
Yes.
is going to be a different, if you just send me a blind connection with no kind of like who you are, if you're, let's say you're, I'm picking on Felicia, I like you. And so if Felicia just sent me a blind thing that was just like, you know, just empty, just a connection, and I'm just like, but if Felicia says, hey, Brenda, I was at the Career Connectors workshop, I really liked your talk and I want to make sure that we connect. Okay, now I know who you are. I have a kind of a point of reference, and no, it is not too late. If you met somebody a year ago and you want to connect with them now, connect with them now. Say, hey, it's been a while since we met at the such and so event. I would like to make sure that we're connected. And so make sure to give people a reason and a frame of reference for why they should connect with you. And then start the work of engagement with those folks, like some of their posts if they're relevant to you, comment on their posts, share their posts, and really just do some direct messaging as well. That's one of the best, most accelerated ways of creating and nurturing relationships with people. But don't come in me asking for a job and we just met 5 minutes ago. I'm not giving you a job and I'm not referring you, nor am I circulating your resume. This is the moment for us to just talk to one another, get to know, engage. I like your style. I'm liking your post. Okay, this is good. I'm feeling a flow. Can I maybe have a 15-minute informational interview? Okay, now we've earned some trust. We've had a conversation. Now I can get into this place where it's like, you know what? Are you comfortable sharing my resume? Okay, we've earned that right, friends. We got to get to that place.
Yeah, so good. I hope you all will forgive me that we're going over a few minutes. I just have another 1 or 2 questions I have to ask, and then we will move into the breakout room. So this is such a rich conversation. You guys, one of the questions we get all the time is the fees for LinkedIn. I have noticed personally, they've gone up quite drastically in the last couple years. And so I would love your opinion. Should people be paying for the LinkedIn Premium, the job seeker version, or is there something else they should be doing, or should they do it for free? I would love your advice.
Well, I'll start on that one. Yeah, it does depend on what you can afford, but with the LinkedIn Premium, you get increased visibility. You can access more information on companies and people. You have more in-mail messaging. Somebody said earlier, is there a way to get more than 5 messages? And that's by getting the premium. And it gives you some more insights into who's looked at your profile. And it just, yes, it's going to help. It really is. So if you just can do it for a couple of months, if you can afford it till you get that job, and then you can, drop it. Yeah, you're right. It is expensive.
I teach a couple of workshops every month around LinkedIn, and I always teach to the free version. And it's because I know my audience, right? And if you're a job seeker, you're probably not ready to dish out $40 a month for this thing. There is value. Do not get me wrong. There is value in the premium version, but listen to me, there are so many things that you can accomplish for free. And so my recommendation would be to maximize everything that you can do for free and kind of earn that thing. And then once you've maximized for free, go ahead and do a free trial of the premium version.
Oh, that's good.
And then you can, really set an alarm to cancel that thing, because they will charge your butt at 12:01 a.m. the next day. And so, get what you need to get out of it, but really use it to its full potential for free first, then shift into free trial mode. And then if you're like, I'm really excited about this and I really just want to send more emails and I want to see some more of the in-depth analysis, and you really start to look deeper, then is the time to kind of stage 3 go into premium.
That's great.
I'll
Yeah.
just add that if you're a veteran, you get 1 year of LinkedIn Premium free.
Ooh.
Wow.
So any veteran gets 1 year, and they rarely say no if you ask them to extend it. So as a veteran, that's a
Beautiful.
benefit to you. I'm going to tell you, I live on LinkedIn. Much of my marketing is on LinkedIn for the podcast that I host, and I don't pay for premium.
Awesome.
Don't know
Or do I?
One
Jessica,
more.
can I jump in for a quick
Hold on.
minute?
No, we're still finishing up here. Okay, last thing, ladies, is open to work. So there's this feature on LinkedIn that says open to work. Would love your opinion on that. Do
Well,
we
if
use
you're-
it?
If you're still employed, don't do it,
Okay.
because they're gonna know right away that you're thinking about leaving. That's the big one.
Yeah, so just kind of going back to our conversation about bias and discrimination, right? There's a whole nother dimension. Bias exists in so many different forms, you guys, right? And so one of those dimensions is this concept of unemployment bias. And so you just put it right on out there for the whole world to see that, hey, I'm out of work, I'm looking for a job. And so there is, as far as I'm concerned, I consider myself to be a very decent human being. I don't care if you're, if you're unemployed, like I just want to help you. I don't look at you in some sort of negative light, but there are individuals that will take that and say, well, they couldn't keep a job. Why are they looking for work? And so please understand that just the varying viewpoints that could be placed on that kind of work, open to work green badge banner. And so if you're going to use the open to work feature, which I do like, I just like to set it to recruiter only, as opposed to applying that green badge, which says, hey, to the whole world, I'm looking. And please, if you're looking for work, don't make that your whole headline.
Yes.
Please and thank you. Because again, if that's all that I see, I don't know what you do. I don't know how good you are. I don't know if you got any kind of skill whatsoever. All I see that you're looking for a job. And so I'm inclined to say, well, the Circle K is looking for people to clean the toilets. And while there's nothing wrong with that, that probably isn't the kind of work that you are actually looking for. And so why don't you tell me what you're actually looking for? I see it all the time and it breaks my heart. And I'm like, I don't want to correct them. They're going to think I'm trying to sell them something. I'm not. Like, I just want to help this person. But please, please, please keep it focused.
I love that. You all want to be an expert and showcase that you're an expert in an area. It's not job search. Do not be an expert in job search unless you do what we do.
Yeah.
Okay? We can be experts in job search because it's how we help people, but you don't want to be. You want to be an expert in your field. And so talking about looking for jobs and that kind of stuff, just set that aside. Be an expert in your field. All right, ladies, it has been such a pleasure. One last question for you. I know some people on the line have paid for this stuff. Some people have gotten taken, unfortunately. We, again, provide these services at no cost at our events. What is the benefit of paying? So if somebody decides, hey, I do want to pay, or I need help, I need something done, I'm not getting the hits. Talk to us about that. What is the benefit of having somebody like you really dive in and help them?
Yeah, Brenda, you
don't
seem
put
to
me
be
out
the
there. I
most
was
articulate among us.
take the microphone, y'all. And so, listen, I believe in the work that we do. I do. I honestly do. I think about, I'm going to put it in reference to the fact that, what exists, what's a tool that we can easily purchase on our own. It's called a blow dryer. It's called a flat iron. I can buy a blow dryer. I can buy a flat iron. And if I go to do my hair, it don't look nothing like the people at the salon when they do my hair. You know what? I can go to AutoZone and get a thing for my car. I don't know how to put that thing in there. Somebody told me once, oh, your toilet is leaking. Oh, all you got to do is, I don't know nothing about plumbing. And so the same is true for professional resume writing services. All this information is out there. There are YouTube videos galore, web pages and perspectives and opinions, and you could find the information, but having the information and knowing how to apply the information are two very, very different conversations. And so if you know it and if your resume is getting a job done, if you're getting the right kind of calls for the right kind of interviews, you're good. Don't just pay money because I told you to, right? Pay money only if there is an actual need and you see the value. But just because information is out there does not mean that your resume is just kind of good to go as is. And so sometimes we just need a sanity check. Sometimes we just need to know that we know, because we really want this particular kind of job and we're not willing to keep settling in our own careers. And so sometimes we just need to call in the big dogs and make sure that listen, when somebody invested with me just last year, they invested in me a couple of months of job search coaching. So we worked on the resume, we worked on some interview coaching, we worked on some job search strategy, and they paid what my little medium fees, and then they tripled their salary. I don't want to hear nothing about, the cost for a professional resume writing service is truly an investment. I'm putting this money up front, but what I'm getting in return is oh so great. And so do not be afraid of it. If you believe that you can do it, now that's kind of step one. You got to believe in you. If you believe in you and you just don't know how to tell the rest of the world, leave that to us. This is what we do.
I think if you're just looking for someone to type up your resume and type up your work experience for you, don't hire someone, because that's not going to be of any value. What we do is we teach you how to strategically market yourself by helping you identify your unique value statement. We help you with our industry knowledge. And one of the things I always say to people is, like, I teach resume do's and don'ts. And one of my don'ts is don't pay someone to write your resume for you. What? That's how I make my living. But I don't write resumes for people. I write resumes with people. And so you have to be an active participant in the process. Your voice needs to be in there. Your personality needs to be in there. And you need to be able to support every word in your resume in an interview. Because if you go in an interview and they're like, oh, tell me about this bullet point right here, and you go, I don't really know what that means. The resume writer just put it in there. That interview is going to be over very quickly. And believe me, I have heard that from people. So, you have to be an active participant in the process, and you need to feel like your personality is in there. I've seen it in the chats. I paid someone, it was terrible. Well, why didn't you follow up with them and say, this is not acceptable? Go back to that person. Tell them that's not a quality product and that your voice isn't in there. And if they don't offer the ability for you to give them feedback, then you got to do your due diligence, right? So I don't know about Brenda, but I think I have I don't even know, 40 some recommendations on LinkedIn from previous customers. You go to my website, I've got a whole page of 100 testimonials. And the thing is, I named my company Get Results because that's what we do, right? So again, it's one of those things where it's not for everybody. It isn't. It's not inexpensive, and I understand that. But people say, well, it's just a piece of paper. Well, you know what? A $1 bill and a $100 bill are both just pieces of paper. But what makes them valuable is what's on the paper. And so that's what we do.
And I want you to count the cost, right? Count the cost of how expensive it actually is to remain out of work longer than necessary. It's one of the most sobering thoughts that, and it's not a sales pitch, right? Because there are free resources. Go to Arizona at Work, go to your military transition office. There are free resources. Use those as much as possible. So it's not all about sales pitch, but definitely think through if you are accustomed to making $100,000 a year and you've now been out of work for 6 months, and nobody's calling and there's no traction and no momentum whatsoever, this is the moment where it's like, am I going to keep doing what I'm doing and expect a different result? Or am I going to reach out for a lifeline and ask for some help? And yes, it hurts, Alfreda. It hurts. It hurt me when it was me many moons ago. It hurts. And so we're not here to try to make you feel bad or break your bank or anything like that. I offer a free consultation. I think many of us do. I offer, low cost things like a resume assessment. So, okay, I want to do it myself, but I just want to make sure it was done right. I offer, a real time, quick turnaround service. And then I offer a much more in-depth process that, of course, is going to be the bigger dollar amount, but don't worry about like, I'm not going to be able to afford it. I'll refer you to Arizona at Work. I'll refer you to an appropriate community resource that doesn't cost anything. And so come on, just get what you need. And I don't care what form that takes. Get quality, qualified information to help you.
That's so good. My son was graduating college and I said, help, I need one of you. And I said, Brenda, what can I do with this boy? He's a chemical engineer, but thinks I'm an idiot when it comes to job search, because parents know nothing, but maybe he'll listen to you. And so she said, well, have him fill this out. It was her assessment, I think is what you're talking about. And she filled it out. She gave feedback on it. He took the information and implemented it. It was very inexpensive. And he got 3 offers in like a month, and he had not had hits. And he's a chemical engineer, you guys. And so, and now he lives in Georgia. I'm actually kind of mad about that because he's not here anymore. But, and I'm in Arizona. But anyway, thank you, ladies. This has been so valuable. And the information you provide is so good. Again, this will be replayed back, available on a webinar. Everybody on the call will get an email with a link to all of the resources we talked about today, as well as the contact info for the ladies that were helping and supporting this. And so we're going to go over a couple resources real quick, and then we're actually going to jump into the breakouts. But can we give an overwhelming virtual clap to our awesome resume ladies? Brenda, Donna, Lori, and then Amanda. Thank you for your support in the chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys are wonderful, and we could not do this program without the support of such a phenomenal team. All right, so if you are on the line today and you have any feedback for us, we would greatly appreciate that. So feel free to email us to contact@careerconnectors.org. If you have a topic you'd like us to address, you also may go back and listen to any of the webinars we've done over the last 2.5 years. And it has truly been a pleasure. I am still connecting with a lot of you that dropped your LinkedIn URLs in. So thank you for connecting with me. I am happy to help introduce you to people, help with your connections as well. Now we have a couple additional resources. Again, we've mentioned the webinars. You can go back and look at any of those. Brenda does have that talk specifically about discrimination and how to avoid some of that and how to get around it. And so that's out there. Lori has a talk out there. We've done this resume panel previously. That's out there. We also are offering up a DISC assessment. If you've never taken this or a behavioral assessment before, it'll give some insight into your communication style, your ideal work environment. It's free. You can go out to our website, or you can go onto that link. And I think Joey or someone, Kathleen, might be dropping the link into the DISC assessment into our chat. You can go on, it's free. It'll give you 24 pages of information. We also have a ton of information on our social media platform. If you are not connected into the Career Connectors group on LinkedIn, please do that. Connect with us. We have thousands of people connected into that community. And so we would love to have you there. We have companies dropping resources and job opportunities in there as well. Thank you so much to all the sponsors that help make this program happen. We are a 501c3 nonprofit, and we could not do it without our partners. So we're incredibly grateful. Achieve is actually going through a huge hiring push for operations side. So if you're not familiar with Achieve previously, Freedom Financial Network, check out the event they have coming up and the hiring that they're doing. All right, I want to say a big, huge thank you to one of our great partners, Best Companies AZ. They will be a representative in the breakout room in just a little bit. And so we are based in Arizona, and so a lot of our resources are in Arizona as well, but Best Companies AZ will award best companies to work for. And so On the next slide, you can see a whole bunch of the awards that companies they work with have won. And these are not just companies that have jobs in Arizona. These are companies that may be located in Arizona, but have national jobs. And so virtual is a big deal right now. Remote jobs is a big deal right now. And so you can talk to them in the breakout room about any of the companies that you see on this slide that are hiring both local and national, in-person and remote positions. And these are all companies that are a best place to work in some fashion. They have won a most admired company. They're on the Fortune 500 list, etc. All right, so let me tell you about some of the things we have coming up. We do these monthly events in a virtual format that bring content and then the coaching, which is in the breakout rooms in a few minutes. But then we also do hiring expos that bring in employers. And so we're doing one bit on healthcare. So we're going to have a whole bunch of healthcare organizations. I think we're up to about 15 right now. That will be on March 23rd at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Time change. And so time change for us in Arizona means we don't change time, we change time zones. And so it gets a little confusing for us, but we're going into Pacific Standard Time. We're always what's called Mountain Daylight Time, but no one understands what that means. It's really hard to follow. So we'll be moving over to the West Coast time zone. And so our events will start at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, starting with that event. Big healthcare organizations will be there, as well as smaller ones with in-person and remote opportunities. Then we are doing a veterans event. This one will be an in-person veterans event. And so if you're local to Arizona or you're going to be visiting us, that will be March 30th at the University of Phoenix, where we have employers that are veteran-friendly employers. And then our next virtual event, similar to this one, is going to be Tic-Tac-Toe: Winning Strategies for Your Job Search, by one of my favorite people. His name, Coach Justin Jones. He is phenomenal, and he is going to be talking about the job search in general, and then we'll have the coaching available as well. If you're not familiar with AZ Careers Now, it is a program that we have partnered with the Greater Phoenix Chamber Foundation, and so we are running hiring events. You can get a lot of resources right on that website as well. Thank you to our awesome team today. Here are some of the people that are serving and will be available during the breakout session. If we did not have the army of volunteers that we have for serving the people that we are working with, we would not be able to do this. So how about a round of applause for all of our volunteers? Thank you. You guys are awesome. Okay. Question in the chat: is AZ Careers only for AZ jobs? No, there is content on there that applies to everybody, and most of our events, not all of them, but many of them are virtual, and they have both in-person, remote, and on-site jobs. So that's why we like to talk about them, because they have jobs that apply to everybody. If you are interested in volunteering, that is the link, and you can get that right on our website. Also, again, we are a 501c3 nonprofit, and so upcoming is Giving Tuesday. And so if you, Arizona Gives Day. If you're in Arizona, it's called Arizona Gives Day. But we are a 501c3 nonprofit. If you would like to donate to Career Connectors so we can continue to serve and support more people, we would greatly appreciate that. Well, thank you guys for being here. We're gonna jump over to our breakout sessions, and I'm gonna hand this off to Bree Martinez to talk about how to get into the breakout sessions. Bree is our amazing event director, and she will talk to you all about how to get into the breakout sessions. I just want you all to know, stay encouraged. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad some of you, like Pat and Jeanette, already changed their LinkedIn URL just in the time we were on the call. You can do this. You can do this. And I am encouraged you all are here and engaged. And I want you to know that myself and our team, we are praying for you, that you do land into the career of your dreams. Thank you so much for being here. Take it, Bree.
All right, thank you. So to get into the breakout rooms, you're going to hover over your toolbar, which is usually at the bottom of your screen. It might be at the top. And once I open the breakout rooms, which I'm about to do, you'll see that option, click on breakout rooms, a whole list of all of the breakout rooms will show up. Whichever one you want to join, just hover over it, go to the right and click join. And once you do that, it'll take you into the breakout room. If you ever need to get back into the main session, which is this one, the same way you entered a breakout room, you can come back to the main session. So I just opened all the rooms. If anyone needs any help moving into a breakout room, let us know in the chat and we can manually move you in there. Thank you.
Thank you, Bree. Thank you for being the brains behind this whole program.